be on there. G'day, it's Fish, the beach bum investor. Good afternoon. Bit late today. Was trying to sort out something for the show and have failed miserably as usual with my tech skills. It's been a really interesting 24 hours overnight, and we'll get into that in a second. But today we do have a special guest on the show, one of the Crypto Wave investment crew. You guys all know him as Crypto Chronicus. Crypto Chronicus, g'day, how are you?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
I can, mate. I can hear you now.
Okay, just checking there. There's a little bit of a delay there. A little bit.
There is indeed.
It's because I am...
Well, it's a good thing for you. I'm very proficient in lip reading because that audio didn't come through too well either. I'll just pop over to the chat and see if you guys are actually getting the audio through okay. See who's in today.
What's up, Z-Man? BB Junkie? Street Beats? Eric Meds? Affidavit? I filed a couple of you, Affidavit. Many.
Eric Med said
the chat up and everything, so
yeah, cool. Well, Eric's saying we're pretty laggy, but what I might do, Crypto Chronicus, is I might start off by sharing this article that I found, because I found an article about Samsung making chips to get it, or developing mining equipment anyway, getting into that mining race. So I thought it was a really interesting article, and perhaps you might be able to comment on it as well with your background. So I'm just going to pop over to screen share now and share this with everyone. And we're going to have a look at this article very quickly. Okay, this one's from TheVerge.com, and the link, as always, is in the description. Samsung's now making chips designed for cryptocurrency mining. Samsung's semiconductor business is booming, with the company recently overtaking Intel as the world's biggest chip maker. But the South Korean firm is not resting on its laurels and is currently looking to expand into the busiest contemporary market for processors, cryptocurrency mining. As reported by TechCrunch, Samsung has confirmed it's in the process of making hardware specifically designed for mining cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. A spokesperson for the firm told TechCrunch, Samsung's foundry business is currently engaged in the manufacturing of cryptocurrency mining chips. However, we are unable to disclose further details regarding our customers. These chips are known as ASICs, or application-specific integrated circuits. ASICs are processors that have been specifically designed for a single computational task, as opposed to the multi-purpose processor we use in computers and phones. As the valuation of cryptocurrencies has shot up, so has demand for these sorts of chips. In the case of Bitcoin, the currency is created by solving mathematical problems, with these calculations also maintaining the integrity of Bitcoin transactions. As more Bitcoins are mined, these math problems become increasingly difficult. This has led to miners moving from using normal integrated graphic cards to GPUs designed for gaming, and now to specifically build ASICs. It's not clear exactly what sort of products Samsung will be making, but according to reports from the Korean media, it will be working with Taiwanese firm TSMC. The company currently supplies chips for a number of firms set up solely to mine cryptocurrency, including the China-based Bitmain. That's interesting. Meeting the demand for these chips has added around 350 to 400 million to its quarterly revenue, says TSMC. That's nothing to be sniffed at, but it's a small sum compared to the $69 billion revenue generated annually by Samsung's chips business. Mining cryptocurrencies is buzzy, but that doesn't mean it'll be extremely profitable for those selling the silicon shovels. Goodness, that was a mouthful, that last one. What do you think, Chronicus? That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I think is inevitable. I mean, how long are these big companies that have been entrenched for so long, and they've got everything? They've got the lobbyists. They know the right lawyers. They're businessmen, you know. So they're not gonna sit around and wait too long. They're gonna probably wait and right when everything's looking not. Basically, they try to line things up to where they're going to come into the market and scoop up the biggest share they can with the least amount of effort So they'll probably let most of everybody do all the work and risk for them for a little while, and then once it starts catching on, like right now, they come in and pick up the pieces. That's basically the way I see it happening. Samsung, AMD, Nvidia, and what was the number there? What was it? 80 billion, 50 billion, something like that. And whenever you look at the market cap of which, even though market cap's kind of a weird number, it's not really, doesn't necessarily mean anything really. But something to go by, if you look at the market cap where it's, what is it, above $500 billion right now? It starts putting it into perspective. They're looking to put a zero on the end of that, like they want their goal going into something is to aim really high. So they're probably aiming to be, all these companies want to be, if not the first, one of the first $1 trillion companies on paper.
Yeah, for sure. I just think it's interesting. I wonder how it's going to affect. I'm really interested to see how it'll affect the current mining industry, which is heavily, has been heavily based with or heavily centralized with a few big mining pools, and I'm wondering whether this will help spread it out or whether the mining pools are going to have a massive advantage. What are you making a joke about there?
Yeah, I mean they're really the main one, but we have a new one. What is it called? Halong. One I sent you the link to. I don't think it might have been a SHA-256, and I think maybe now they have one for Litecoin as well.
Cool,
but they've got some out there, and I remember looking at the price, and I like, it's not that bad. But what I think they're really doing is they're not selling us the latest and greatest products. If it's going to make them money, just letting it run, there's a point where whenever you have the new technology coming in, you dump the old stuff off on everybody before you tell them about the new tech. So I wouldn't be surprised if all the machines that people are buying in the retail space, even like directly from the manufacturer, they're not giving you the latest, greatest tech. If you were him, if you were Jihan Wu, are you going to tell everybody like, Eureka, I just discovered this new way of doing things, or a new manufacturing process to reduce costs or whatever? No, you're gonna basically downplay how easy it is and upplay how hard it is to do something so as to discourage everyone else from pursuing it. So
yeah, well, that's an interesting point.
That's what I think.
If you've got the same company or the same organization supplying mining equipment to the public and then running their own mining pools, it would obviously be sensible for them from a business perspective, not necessarily an ethical perspective, to provide lesser equipment to the public and keep them the most modern and the best version for themselves, right? Giving them the advantage in the mining game.
Yeah, well, I think almost every time it's always a pre-sale anyway. So like what they're doing is they've got the contractors that have the subcontractors, everything's already planned out. And they're like, all we need is for a big dump truck full of cash to come, and we'll pay everyone whatever their retainer was to get the process going. And everyone's paying for all of that. He probably isn't really putting up much, if any, money when he's doing these batches. He's got the numbers crunched already where he's like, all right, everyone's going to dump the money in my lap, and then I'll just disperse it out to whoever it goes to. And we all make a bunch of money without having to put up very much, because if the product comes out crappy, I doubt that he's probably got some money into it in the beginning. I'm sure he does lots of money into it, but I'm pretty sure he got his money back by now.
Oh yeah, I'd say that and some. So yeah.
I
don't think we
Bitcoin. Is what they say.
Sorry, go again. They say what?
Well, they say that he hasn't spent any of his Bitcoins. And that's what they say. Any's a strong statement, but I guess comparatively speaking, he probably has 99% of them left still. I mean, why wouldn't you? I don't think in the future, if Bitcoin does end up being some, protocol that's basically underlying everything like they say it is later on, I don't think anybody's going to have to sell their Bitcoins later. You'll be able to lock them into a contract or something and earn interest on the ownership of it or something like that, Yeah, I mean, if I even added up the dividends, and I was looking at it, it's looking like about double. Like if you can look at the price of Bitcoin and then you actually take into account all the crypto dividends, and then some of them even have dividends from dividends, you know, like forks of forks, like Bitcoin Candy, which Bitcoin Cash is I say it's a fork, but well, that's a whole other subject. We'll avoid that. But Bitcoin Candy is a fork of a fork, you know. So I think yeah, I think it's going to be a big deal. Speaking of which, I'm up to block 470,000 right now on this.
Is that for Lightning Network?
Yeah. This is on mainnet too. It's you can just take my word for it. It's probably hard to read, but it's pretty cool, man. It's fun because in the crypto Twitter space, I guess I'll call it, like, you know, in the public's eye, there's a lot of things that aren't really true per se. Like things get amplified online, and I think that people make a bigger deal out of a lot of things that they really are. Like, oh, this is dangerous, and we can't do this, and we can't do that. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're just going to test things and discover things and break things and fix things. And that's the only way we're going to get there. Because I know the narrative is like, it's the hashtag reckless. Have you seen that? Like, it's reckless to be operating on the mainnet. But like, dude, if you're risking $20 to be a part of history, to be part of something that's bigger than you, and it's fun, you know, you go in there, you can go to GitHub. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but you can go to GitHub, and if instead of complaining, the whole point of what I'm trying to say, I ramble a lot, but the point of what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of people will complain about things, and I'm like, well, then do something about it. Like, what is the point of someone coming online and like, if I post something and you have a bunch of haters comment on it, like, it's wasted your time and all this, I'm like, well, you're the one wasting your time. You're here talking to me. Like, if you really care enough to be a genuine person, and instead of complaining, go to GitHub, find a program or something, download it, and start helping out. Like, you don't have to actually know how to program anything. You can download the app and find bugs. You can just, you know, get on the testnet on Lightning, download Zap or whatever, Eclair. You can download it on an Android already from the Google Play Store, and just go to a website and start sending testnet Bitcoins back and forth. And if you get an error or something, screenshot it, post an issue, and you'll actually get in touch with the actual guy that's reviewing the code or writing code for whatever program it is. He's the one running that repository. So you're in direct contact with those people. So all that energy that people put into making memes and posting stuff, which are fun, I like memes, but if you really want to help out, download the app, stop complaining, and do something about it. That's the only way we're going to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what this space is giving us is a couple of things, and one of them is definitely an incentive for constructive criticism rather than just bagging people out. Come up with the solution, put it out there to the world, and we'll all build it together. I mean, that's the way this ecosystem has been built and will continue to be built through people power. So, you know, coming out with a negative is fine as long as you can provide some sort of solution to it as well. And I think you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I keep reminding myself even lately, that I'm very trying to be more conscious of how much I complain, and trying to do less complaining and more doing, you know. But yeah, it's definitely, that's what the one thing I like about everything to do with the internet and the crypto space, that everybody's so connected together. It's it used to be a latency, you know. It began, we used to write letters to each other, and you had to wait, you know, and hope that something didn't happen between you and that letter, and anything can happen. But now we have encryption and things like that, and it's so much faster, and we're all interconnected so much better. You don't even have to know how to implement the idea that you have. You can just say, hey, I got an idea. Do that. Like when you're sitting there and you're thinking like, hey, I have this idea, but like, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to post it because I don't know anything about computers or whatever. Like, that's the beauty of it. Your idea could turn out to be the next thing that changes everybody's lives. You know, you could be a part of that just by being like, hey, you know what if we did this? I've noticed on GitHub, there's people that come and they comment and they don't know anything about programming. I'm not a big good programmer or anything. And I see, and I do it myself. I go on there and I'll be like, hey, this part of the program sucks. You know, you guys need to fix that. It doesn't look professional. And sometimes I'll wake up the next morning and I'll have a notification and be like, oh, there's an update over here. And I'll be like, oh, wow, they did that. And it was the next day. And that's what I really, really like about that. I hadn't started participating on GitHub until very recently. And it's like an addiction, the way that cryptocurrency is an addiction. It's like you start in the rabbit first. You know what? When I started tumbling down all this is I was in college and I took a class called Money and Financial Markets, right? And it was like I didn't have to take that class. It was like, it wasn't an elective, but I did it in such a way that one of my electives was something, it counted. I had planned it out that way. I was like, I want to take that class. I want to know more about money. I want to have money. So I was taking this class and they teach you about how you have to take federal government, state government and all that at the same time. And I was taking the Money and Financial Markets class and they explained to you in college how we're all getting robbed blind. Like people say, oh, I didn't take a class for that. They don't teach you that in high school, in the government indoctrination camps. They don't teach you that there because it doesn't keep you. I feel like it's there. It was there. I don't know if it's intentional. It's systemic now, but I feel like the whole public education system is becoming outdated because you can tailor your own education live online for almost free, not entirely free. I mean, if you really had to, you could walk or ride a bicycle to a library. Most people living in the city can get to a computer that's free. So I feel like we should focus more on that type of education. And this is what you can find in the cryptocurrency community, that there's people out there working hard for nothing. I don't know what they're doing it for. Everybody has their own reasons or whatever. But if you want information, if you want to join in on it's a revolution in my opinion. If you want to join in and be a part of something that you can just hop on Twitter and start talking to people and downloading apps and trying, like I have tokens on here that I know they're shit coins. But I still download the app because sometimes you don't know until you actually download the app and use it for sure yourself. You know, you can go off what other people say. That's what I would encourage, that anybody that's new or anybody that's been around for a long time to start doing that more, instead of buying and selling them on you've never had the wallet, you've never actually owned your coins. They've always been on an exchange or with Coinbase or Bread Wallet or the new Robinhood or whatever. Those are really good for getting you in the door, but you got to take the training wheels off eventually and ride the bike. You know, you can only practice for so long.
And you're going to fall off. You're going to fall off a lot because, especially if you're like me, I've actively avoided technology my whole life, and it's taken a fair bit of catching up. But it is doable, and I'm proof, because I really don't know much about computers at all. So it is doable, I think. But one of the things that we've got to work on, both at PIVX and also in the economy in general, is making it so that people like me can just come in and one-click stuff. And I know that's a big focus of ours over at PIVX for 2018, looking at one-click updates or automatic updates even, so we don't have to go and find the file, download a new wallet every time, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big part of it as well, getting easy use to the point where my dad can use it, you know what I mean? And to the point where he can just go into the shop and go, yep, I got my phone, I got my PIVX, bang, swipe here or scan here to the receiver.
That's all we're missing, man. I bump into people, and with the PIVX, like some of the PIVX that I had given you at the tattoo shop and traveling around, I was in Mexico in the jungle and stuff. And most of the time it works great, but it sucks whenever you're trying to explain something like, this is great, it's so easy, and then you pull out your app and it's like, oh man, sorry, it's not working right now.
Yeah. No, we've still got. So go on, Chronicus. What were you saying?
I was gonna say it's still got a little bit of ways to go, but it's almost there. But also at the same time, we shouldn't completely, you know, how the way to put it? We shouldn't completely make it too, they have to start learning how to be smart, basically. Like, you can't baby everyone. You can only do that so much. So if you think about email, I don't know if you've seen what email was like in the 80s. It was pretty much non-existent. Like we in the beginning, we had what were called BBSs, bulletin board systems, right? That was the internet before there was AOL really and stuff like that. No Windows. It was black and white, words on a screen, man. It was not like it is today. And it began where you had to tie up your phone line. You know, you would have your aunt or your grandma or wherever, whoever you were staying with. They'd be like, you got to get off the internet because you're tying up my phone line. You used to have to connect a modem physically to the back of your computer, and it would pick up the phone, and you would hear the dial tone, boop, and it would make all this weird sounding noise. And man, it was weird. It was weird. People thought you were really, really weird. Like, why would I want to sit down at a table and stare at a TV and talk to people in India or wherever? That was the big thing when the internet came out. People didn't use it to do what we do today. Like, social media was one of the first things that we did, but all the other stuff, commerce and all that, how many websites, I don't know about you, but there was a lot of websites that when we went to the website, it had like under construction with like some of those white and orange barrels and stuff and like flashing lights, and that was their website.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that period.
Yeah, that was the internet, and that's not where we're at in crypto. We are at the early stages, but the under construction phase is already gone. We're in like the refinement stage right now. So rather than trying to dumb it all the way down, maybe effort should be more put into just getting people to do it. Just do it. Just because they're gonna figure it out. I've had people in it. No offense to anyone if you're not computer literate, but it's still funny when you get someone that they don't know how to use the computer, like they don't know how to do email or any of that. It's kind of strange whenever you think about it now. Now look who's laughing now. You know, like back then they were laughing like, that's dumb. Sitting at a computer all day, rotting your eyeballs out of your skull. You know, like he's gonna be blinded in 20 years. But then everything's kind of switched around where they're like, hey, you gotta look up. You know, like everybody's on their phone all day. So it makes me wonder where the whole crypto thing going. The way technology, like Internet of Things, is linking up. Like me, one of my dreams is to be able to save a lot of time using crypto and Internet of Things and all that. Like whenever I get home, which they have this stuff now, I'm just waiting for the cost to come down more. But when you get home out of your Uber car that you rented from some guy that owns the car, because they have that, they're gonna have that. They're tokenizing vehicles. Have you heard about what Tesla did?
No, I haven't heard about it specifically, but I have heard the idea of tokenizing vehicles.
He issued Series A, or he issued some bonds tokenizing. Well, not tokenizing. He turned them into what's the word I'm looking for? Securities. He securitized his fleet of Teslas that they lease, because they have a set amount of income that they produce on the lease payments. And in order to raise funds, I forget how much money. It was a lot of money. He raised a lot of money by securitizing these self-driving electric cars and raise funding like that. So I think in the future, it's going to be more of a you get home from, you're probably going to be a freelancer in the future. But we'll say if you have a regular job and you work for a company and you go to a 9-to-5 job, you'll probably not have to open your phone to tell it those types of things. Like they already have it to where they're programming the Teslas to where it knows what time you go to work. It knows that you want the seats warm at 7:55 because you leave at 8 o'clock because you're always late for your work. Maybe the coffee maker comes on at the right time. You just shut the door. Your RFID chip notices that you've left, or maybe your Wi-Fi connects when you're home and it heats up your house before you get home in the winter and cools it off in the summer, unlocks the door for you. Maybe eventually it'll probably do other stuff that we probably shouldn't have automated, like making your food for you and stuff. I think that maybe maybe we should hang on to that one. You're making the food. I don't know if I'm really ready to have like a 3D printed meal quite yet.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think a few people would agree with you as well. So, just so the crew can learn a bit about you, Chronicus. I mean, for me, I got into Bitcoin when someone told me to look at a sweet rig on box mining, and I thought I was looking for something else. But in any case, how did you first find out about Bitcoin and the crypto economy, mate?
Can I really say it? To quote Satoshi Light, I use drugs to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think Agent Smith might have been one of the customers. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, it is what it is. And I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people's first contact with Bitcoin probably had something to do with Silk Road, or at least hearing about it. I'm fairly certain that most people that are older than 20, know about the Silk Road and all that stuff, which is kind of given the word Silk Road a bad name now, because it used to be, it's traditionally about a trade route near the Caspian Sea or something like that. So that's pretty funny. But the way that I actually first got really into the rabbit hole, I didn't finish, but that's when I was in college and I was taking that class about money and financial markets. And then I literally binged on YouTube videos on how it works, even though I already knew how it works. But it's so, the way they move everything all around is so complicated that it really, even if you're an intelligent person, even if you're computer literate, even if you've been involved with business and money and all that stuff your entire life. I mean, like me, I decoded the routing numbers and stuff on checks, but by the time I was 13, I had already, like, in 1990 or whenever it was, how many 10, 13-year-olds do you know what a routing number is? Not very many. So yeah. Even for somebody that's very, very literate when it comes to things, technical things, computer things, money things, business things, law, always been familiar with that. It takes so long for everything to really settle in, how complicated it is, the way they issue, the treasury issues these magic pieces of paper and the money comes out of existence. And then we got to pay 6% interest to the shareholders that own the Federal Reserve that's not federal and don't have any reserves. And then you have like the politicians like, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. And I'm like, they're like trying to write IOUs on an empty bank account that's long overdrawn. And so once you start when all that starts really settling in, then your eyes start opening. You start realizing that the long game, the staying in your job and doing that 9 to 5 and living the paycheck to paycheck. And I know you hear that a lot. People are like, it's easy. Just, it's not easy, but once you get used to it, you don't really want to ever go back to a regular being at the mercy of someone else that does it. At the end of the day, if it's between his wife, the owner, or her husband, the owner of a business, getting that new Samsung Galaxy S8 or the iPhone, whatever 10 or whatever we're on right now, and you getting fired, if she complains enough, you're going to get fired and your life doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, like, working for someone else and being at the mercy of them, like, you might get lucky and be somewhere where they care about you and keep you around for 10, 20, 30 years and you can retire. But I don't know anybody that's done that. Only people that are not computer literate, baby boomers and stuff like that. Like, they lived through that era, but there's not very many of my friends that I know that will or has done that. They're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So once you get into that mindset, then you're more open to the whole cryptocurrency thing. So I wasn't somebody that just stumbled along Bitcoin and was like, oh, this is, and then got drawn into that whole world. I was already in a similar space where it's like, screw the government and I don't want to pay any taxes. And, I would say 100% agree with that. I want to pay, but I want to make sure it goes to things that I agree with, that I support. That's another thing that is going to be interesting in the future. Imagine imagine being able to have you ever went to the debt clock in the United States? We have a website. It's called the usdebtclock.com or debtclock.com or something like that. And it has the whole budget live. So you can see the deficit here and the monetary supply, like the base currency, M1, M2, M3. You can see Medicare spending, and it's just racking it up, man. And the smallest number on the whole thing with all these billions and trillions is the amount of average dollars in a person's bank account, the average person's amount that they have in savings. It was like $4,000 or something like that. But if you go over to the amount of dollars per person, that just to pay the interest, it's every year, every person, like whatever the average person's savings that they have is spent just to pay the interest on our budget here, the government's budget here every year.
Yep.
I think it was twice actually. I think it was like 8,000 per person in interest. But yeah, the way. Go ahead.
The maths every country in the world is essentially into debt to another country. So it's, you know, if everyone were to try and pay back their debt, there'd be no money left in circulation. So it's all going to fall apart eventually. Will it be 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, 500 years? I have no idea, but I know
they don't have a choice but to hyperinflate the currency. They don't have a choice. The amount of sovereign debt, the amount of debt that is owed to other countries in like treasury bonds and deals and stuff, there's no way for, if we were to pay all that back, we'd have to disassemble and sell it off part by part just to pay the interest. Like that's not going to happen. So the only way for them to get out of it is to print 10 times more than there is existence. And they're like, oh, well, you can have your 10%, which was 100% before.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's happening. What I was going to say is in the future, this is something that's one of my ultimate, it would be a dream come true if I could go to a website and I can, maybe you have a wallet or you have a website or some way where I can color my tokens. Every person can color their tokens with a unique color so that if I can go through a list and I could say, war, no. Maybe you don't like the food stamps program or something, you know. Maybe I could say I can have a little slider and I can say 0% or 100%. So you can be reasonable. You know, you can't just have it no or yes. Maybe you have some combination where I'm like, I'm 0% for war, 20% for food stamps, things like that, so that things that I don't agree with can't contribute to that problem. Maybe you don't like guns. I do for certain things, but I would never want to take away somebody else's right. So maybe I would say I'm 90% guns. You know, like there's some things that you need to regulate, and I would like to be able. What's up, man? I'd like to be able to log on or have some way where I can color my tokens to where if my tokens will never ever be able to be redeemed by anything related to those activities. So then nobody can complain. Nobody can say, I wish this, I wish that. Go in your wallet and vote with your wallet. Vote with your wallet, man. And so right now, people don't realize that that's the exact power that we have. We vote with that little credit card. Every time people swipe that, they're contributing to the problem. They're inflating the currency because that money goes right into another bank, gets deposited, and now they can loan it out times 9.
That's right. Yeah, fractional reserve banking, part of the problem.
Yeah. Right, and it's funny how they gave it the name fractional reserve banking. It's the most appropriate name ever. So at least they came with that one. The Federal Reserve, they got you with that one, but they were like, all right, we'll give you the fractional reserve. Hey, somebody just
I think we're actually seeing a fractional reserve banking replica happening in the crypto economy in Tether. Oh, you got to
not just that though. You got to understand that. What's up? This is Cryptopotamus, man. He's the owner, operator, photographer, art person for Crypto Colada. He's kind of a big deal. Most people haven't heard of him.
Sweet.
What was I saying? Yeah, it'd be great if you could actually not have to just complain about it and be like, gee, I wish I how that's where the voting really happens. People think that the politicians are going to do whatever it is that keeps them as politicians or benefits them personally, or people that they know personally, but they're not so much concerned with people that don't align with their goals, which is a problem because, you know, everybody has their own self-interest in mind at the end of the day. Not completely, but most people don't just give away money and time for nothing. You know, they want to get something back, whether it's personal satisfaction or something. You know, they're not. There's not very often where I just throw money on the ground and like, wow, I hope somebody good gets it. You know, nobody's going to do that. But if you can allow a way where there's no out, where you say, I have this problem, or I don't like this problem, and then there's no, well, then you voted with your wallet, right? No, I didn't. Well, have you at least got someone else to vote with their wallet? No, that's really hard to do. But once you can color a token, I can say, you know what? If it has to do with surfing, I'm going to add another 1% or something. You know, I'm willing to just like it's kind of the way the governance structure that you guys are coming out on PIVX. I'm hoping that we get to play with it and find some kind of medium to where it's useful for everybody, and it's kind of one of those things where it's for the greater good. I think that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds with the whole in-wallet decentralized exchanges and all that. I'm looking very much forward to that because it looks like we're already starting to route around these on-ramps, because if they're not going to move quick enough to get things to where people can, I mean, they can't even sign them up fast enough. That's basic. How many people are waiting for that Robinhood app? 1.1 million.
Yeah. Is there a waiting list on that? Is there? I thought that might happen.
1.1 million people.
Wow.
Waiting to sign up. There's a little tally going on the app or whatever.
Yeah, I got it on the.
Oh, this guy got a free stock already too through the thing, and he signed up for it like a day or two. What'd you get? Sirius Satellite?
Siri, yeah.
He got Sirius Satellite.
Siri.
I'm sorry. No, it's Sirius.
It was Siri. It was SIRI.
I know that's the symbol for Sirius Satellite.
Oh.
Yeah. Sirius, the thing that talks to.
That's what it said. Yeah. Siri.
Yeah, Sirius Satellite.
I got running at the moment. Is it?
Yeah, if you sign up to Robinhood, you download the app. There's a link. I'm fairly certain you have to use a link. Like if you just download the app, I don't think it does it. But you can find somebody that has a link, use their link, and you and the person that gave you the link get a free stock in a random company. And it could be Tesla, it could be Ford, it could be Apple, you know, and those are worth something, you know. And I've gotten Zynga twice. I've got Chesapeake Energy twice. Those are all about $5. I got Sprint, got a free Sprint, and Groupon. I didn't even know that was a publicly traded company, but I got a Groupon stock. Yeah. Well, my goal is to get enough of these freebies to get a Tesla stock, so I don't have to buy it. I got a feeling that guy's going places, man. You might be able to buy a Tesla car with one share of Tesla in the future. It could happen.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were having the conversation on Discord the other day, and when you said that to me, I said, I might get a Tesla stock as well. I'll have a Tesla car with me.
You might not have to pay for it if you kill that link.
That's it.
Put it in the description. It helps you and it helps them. So it's a win-win. It's not the same as a BitConnect link, I don't think.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
No, I don't think it's the same as that.
I got into a habit. I say that every time I get into a chat now. I'm just like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I know. I watched that video so many times. I'm like, this is
every time. Have you seen the one where they do the song?
Yeah. There's been a few different releases, but
the guy actually sings the speech. I guess is the only way I could say it. I want that program. However he did that, I want to know how he's doing it. But yeah, I think the in-wallet exchanges are going to be a big deal in the near future. But another thing though is you have to keep in mind that inflation. You mentioned inflation, so. I'm not going to say they're all shit coins because they're not. There are some coins that have a utility that if adopted, not right now, but if adopted, they could be a big deal. It has a purpose that could be served, but 99% of the stuff that you see out there, it's the way I look at it is it's fractional reserve banking. If you had a plan, if you were the central banks and you were like, how can we inflate this? Fork it. Fork the forks and fork the forks of the forks. We'll do ICOs and ICOs of ICOs, and we'll do IPOs for ICO. There's going to be these new combinations of new. Are we going to get a new what is it called? An acronym? Like we've got IPOs and ICOs. Maybe we'll have IVOs or something. There'll be another. There's always going to be another thing that they can do to kind of shift away from the true purpose. And the main thing, the main point of all these cryptos is they can't be taken away from you. So when you realize that there's so much hash power out there, and if I had X amount of dollars, I can spin up some I could do it right here, do it in his living room. Let's just say if I had 100 Bitcoin or 200 Bitcoin, or maybe if somebody who will not be named, who has Bitcoin, 1 million Bitcoins or whatever, and if you wanted to disrupt a particular chain, if it has a hashing algorithm that you can easily spin up nodes and use, like SHA-256 or pretty much any of them really, with a virtual server, I can spin up as many of them as I want, and I can put a smart contract on like the Ethereum blockchain and pay bribes to miners and all this weird stuff that you can do to manipulate things, which isn't being talked about. People don't realize that if I wanted to, and if I was rich enough, I can shut down a coin if I wanted to. Pick one. Almost any one of them. If you have enough money or enough mining hash power, you can mess with that chain in such a way that will manipulate things to a way that you want it to go. So if I wanted to rewrite the entire blockchain using a 51% attack, using virtual private servers like on Amazon Web Servers or Alibaba or whatever you pick one, you can take over that network, which I'm almost certain. Do you think it hasn't happened? Really? It has to have happened by now, right? I mean, how am I going to know the difference? Me, if I have a wallet open on my computer and I open it and it's like, we corrupted the database or whatever, or maybe I end up on another chain, and it's now no longer the longest chain, and now I'm staking coins on a chain that's not even what everyone is on. So all of those are not even really coins. Like they're literally worthless. Only the coin sits before the 51% attack will be valid. So if the hashing power is 1 million units or whatever, and I can get 51% of that, if you wanted to take over a coin, you could do that. So when you take that into context, when you're talking about how secure a chain is, if you have $1 billion, which coin are you going to use? Bitcoin, or something similar that has enough hash power to where you can feel comfortable enough saying, well, they would have to have more than my $1 billion to do that. They're going to have to, whatever coin it is, you're going to have to consider, if someone has more money than you, can they take it? And right now, the only one that I see that 100% or 99.99% sure, I'm sure, not provable, but the only one I would place my bet on would probably be Bitcoin, or possibly Ethereum. It has a lot of hashing power too. One of those top big ones. But all these other ones, think about, like, for instance, Verge. That one's very popular. We've got some people that are, Verge fam, but you got to understand that the hash power of it at many points was so low that, I mean, if you just had a very small amount of money, you could have just rewrote the blockchain and gave yourself all the coins and did a rebranding or something, or come out with, marketing, hype it up and dump it. So there's a lot of that is going on. So to think that nobody has done a 51% attack, I wouldn't count that as a given. I would just go ahead and assume that at all times that someone is trying to hack your stuff, to take your coins. And going back to the inflation, that's why I see all this other stuff as maybe deliberate, maybe not. Maybe there's a bunch of people pulling strings behind the scenes. Maybe it just happenstance. Causation necessarily isn't correlation, I know that, but I'm not going to take any chances with my money. I'm gonna invest. I'm invested in altcoins, but I don't have so much in it that, like you always say, I don't ever put an amount that I'm not comfortable waking up tomorrow and it's gone. It's literally not even ever just hacked, gone, spent. I lost it, deleted it, whatever. I'm comfortable with that. Once time goes on and it's gotten to the point to where there is enough hash power behind some of these other coins, those are going to be the ones that I'll dump a lot more into. So you got to ask yourself, are the central banks involved in inflating Bitcoin? Then the next question you have to ask yourself is, would they? The first thing I would think of is, would they? If they could, they would. And can they? Yes. So I would say that they're probably, who knows? Spam. I used to talk about spam. I even put a video on there. And I've come to the conclusion that you can't count it as, you can't say that something's spam. Yeah,
in terms of the transactions that are going through the network.
Marty said that it's so 3 years ago, no miners consider that a legitimate attack anymore. Go look at some of these coins. Don't look at the price. Go look at the hash power. And you can see that some of them, I'm not talking about anything in the top 10. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some of them that are way down in there that you can, if you wanted to, you could take over those coins or mess with them. Also, wouldn't they? I mean, wouldn't they inflate Bitcoin if they could, or any other cryptocurrency? Any of the top ones, wouldn't they do everything that they could? Or would they only try to buy it? I think they would do more than just try to buy it. I think there's a lot of other things that go on, you know. Oh, Brinker said the bribe thing it's not just possible. There's actually videos. You could probably just type in bribe miners on YouTube, and it's something that's been demonstrated to be provably doable. Provably doable.
Yeah, well, Grinkers is a miner. I don't know if you know that, Chronicus. Grinkers is he sent me a video. His mining equipment. He's pretty deep on mining. So if he's saying that, then it's good information.
Yeah, it's doable. You can do it with smart contracts to where it's not. You don't have. It's on autopilot. You know, it's very complicated when you first look at it, but at the end of the day, you just pay someone to sabotage the network. Like you could create an Ethereum smart contract and point it at Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever you wanted to and mess with it. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about specifics. I've watched the videos, and what I need to know is can it be done and the general idea, and I can take that at face value and just assume there's a lot of smart people that could. They wanted to. Most people are good people, but there's going to be some bad actors out there. But yeah, that's just an interesting thing about inflation. I just was thinking about that the last couple of days. I was like, it's kind of like inflation because a lot of these are. You have to admit, there's a lot of useless tokens. I've watched summits and stuff like that, and when you actually watch their presentations and stuff. Fully understanding that a lot of these people, they're not marketers. They don't have a big marketing team. Their expertise is in programming and things like that. So it's a little rough around the edges. So I'm not going to just be like, this video sucked because it wasn't professional enough and I didn't get enough pretty graphics or whatever. I don't consider that hardly at all. But whenever you watch a video and you ask yourself, like, why do I even need to put this on the blockchain? You know, and we have probably 1,000 tokens that I don't really see going anywhere. Not because it's not a good idea. It's just there's not enough people. It doesn't work very well unless you have a lot of hash power behind it. The main point. It doesn't really. It's not immutable unless there's like a certain amount of confidence that it can't be taken over or manipulated or something's going to happen to it. If it's going to be there when I come back in 10 years, what's going to be around? I'm pretty sure the top 10 is going to be around. There might be one or two of them if something happens or whatever, but you can feel pretty safe with those. But the other ones, I don't feel that I don't feel that confident in a lot of these other ones. Not enough to put a lot of money into. Like back when Bitcoin was lower, I'd be like, I'll put 0.1 Bitcoin in this and that or whatever. But now 0.1 Bitcoin isn't an insignificant amount of money. It's an amount of money that. Like you don't even measure dollars anymore, do you? Really, that much? Like you don't think of it like that. I
In
don't.
dollars. I do it.
No.
I do it in all sorts of ways. I think of it. I think of it in satoshis, in what I'm calling Vitalics now, because I like to accumulate Ethereum as well.
I'll start using that one. Vitalics.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I even do it in, like, I'm even Neo trading now over on KuCoin shares and accumulating Neo and some of the altcoins that I like there as well. So I think of it in a few different ways, but at the end of the day, I do at some stages during the month have to make it relative back to US dollar, more specifically Australian dollars, because I do have fixed expenses coming out for some of the PIVX contracts that we've got in the surfing community. So I've got to pay them. So yeah, at some stage I do have to do a little bit.
When we have where Bitcoin is relatively down, for the month, which a lot of people will be like, oh, you're in Bitcoin, you must have got wrecked this month or something. I'm like, no, I didn't FOMO the top. No.
Yeah, that can be the problem.
In relation to what? It's down 50% for the month, but it's up how much for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years? It doesn't even compare. It's a lot. It's very risky. It's not a certificate of deposit, that's for sure. But I would venture to say that it's probably more risky when you start getting into long-term investments. I have some friends that have retirement accounts and stuff, and I've sat down with them and I've done an analogy where you could take two people in 1965, we'll say, and give them $4,000 each. One guy puts it in a retirement account on a certificate of deposit, getting X amount of, we'll say 2%. And for, I think it's 30 years, we did 30 years. It comes out to like $7,500 over a period of 30 years. But you can't buy a brand new Mustang Shelby Cobra with it no more. You can maybe pay the tax, title, license, and get started on a payment plan for the insurance for that amount of money.
I was going to say to you that, a certificate of deposit is safe. It safely guarantees that your money will lose.
I know that. What I mean that is your dollar value is safe, but your purchasing power is fair game. Yeah. That's what I meant by that. Like it's safe as in you can guarantee that. I wouldn't say guaranteed because nothing's guaranteed. It's not a 0% chance that those dollars aren't waiting for you. That's not a zero. It's very low.
Yeah,
it's happened. And why? Okay, this is from a perspective from somebody that's here in the United States. I'm so ashamed of our country. Not that we don't have it great here. There's a lot of things that are good things, but it seems like it's not what they told us it was when we were little. You know what I mean? Like the things that go on here, and it's just so sad, man. They're just so wasteful, and I feel like our image just sucks because people assume things because you can have something good happen 1,000 times, and not all 1,000 of those are going to get heard about, right? It's a small percentage of those things get heard about. But when something messed up happens, it goes viral, it gets millions of views and all that. So that's what people see. And it makes me wonder, because I don't know what's really going on in the world. I'm not traveling that far from where I live. And I wonder to myself, do everyone look at us as America, as people, citizens of the United States, and do they go off of all this stuff that you see? Like, I know that most people that are smart, they don't assume on people, but there's a little bit of programming in there. Do you guys really like, loud, fat American's gonna drive his Hummer to the food stamp office and pick up his state-sponsored debit card and then go to the doctor on his Obamacare or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, is that how people see us? Because there is a lot of those. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
but there's some people that work. We work. Some people that provide value to the community. We're not all freeloaders. And so I wonder to myself about that as this whole social media thing is going on, is our image is not looking that good. We need to go on a goodwill campaign, man. We need to stop doing all this crap. Why are we fighting amongst everything? Like, have you seen how small of an area it takes to power? Like if you were to take an area and designate it and say, you know what, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, all these states with all this empty, flat, dry, no rain space. Like, hey guys, how about you guys do a land grant and give us like 3,000 square miles? It's not that much. I don't remember how much it was, but it's not. It's like the size of Rhode Island or something, our smallest state. It's like we have cities larger than the size of the area we need in order to power the entire United States. Off grid, like no coal, none of that. We don't need gasoline. We don't need it for transportation anymore. We need it for manufacturing, but we don't have to be driving around wasting all of our resources. Anyway, so that's the image that I feel like that our country is getting right now with social media popping out. It's like all you see is negativity, negativity, negativity. So I'm just trying to do something to maybe get out there and talk to people and see what people really think, travel around. I just got back from Quintana Roo, Mexico, which is a little bit south of Cancun. I was there too. And the difference is amazing. Like I haven't been out of the country in quite some time, except for North Mexico, which is not the same. And everywhere I went, I spent a whole week over there and I did not get my order wrong. Okay, the lady brought me onions when I said no onions, but that was one time. But like nobody was snickering under their breath, like fucking motherfucker, like you get that a lot. There's a lot here I don't know if you guys have it in Australia, but here, at least where I'm at, I've been other places where it was a lot better, but where I'm at, the service that you get anywhere is ridiculously terrible. It's comical. It's like if someone was writing a skit and they were like, really? Like you can literally baby step someone. And then I have went to this burger place since they were ever a thing, since like 1995 or something. They've been open. And I used to go and get a burger there almost every day for like 15, 20 years. And I still get my order wrong more often than not. It's got to be somewhere. Like if you were to ask somebody, ask that guy in 1965 that fucking put his money away for savings and ask him like, hey man, how would you feel if you think in the year 2018, if I went into a place and I bought a burger and ordered the same number 4 with cheese, with mayonnaise and a Dr. Pepper. If I ordered that every week, at least once a week for 15, 20 years, and I still can't get them to get it right. And not to mention what you pay for the meal is about what it would cost for that combo. You can go buy a loaf of bread, some patties, cheese, lettuce. You can buy all of that and make like 4 or 5 of them right every time and not even have to leave your house. So like the level of service that we have here is terrible. I'll be happy to kind of cut that out and get rid of it. And another thing about automation, people are making a big deal about robots are going to take our jobs. And I think that's a wrong way to look at it, because unless the only value that you can provide to serve to the community, to the world, to anyone, is all you can do is be like, hello, my name's Chris. Would you like to try our new Mocha Choca Loca whatever? Like if that's all you can do, then yes, you should be worried. But if there's something else you would rather be doing, then the robots are here to give you something better to do. We're going to have more time to solve problems that matter and less of this repetitious. It's not even necessary. Think about how much we waste just handing things to other people and just food alone and transportation. Like we're just literally just throwing it out there and just throwing it in. May as well just set it on fire, just throwing money away. And I was watching the ICX summit yesterday, and a lot of people, I have to admit that I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more like, oh, we got this killer app.
I think a lot of the market was, man, and we've seen Icon dip as a result of that? You know, it was a little overwhelming.
It is at 73,000 Satoshis right now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dipped a bit then.
Not much. It's actually done better than I had anticipated. I thought maybe it could possibly even dip down into like 5,000, 6,000 or something like that. I didn't sell. I wanted to. I wanted to sell on the top, you know, while the meeting was going on. I was like, what if they announced this awesome app? And then I sold it. So I was like, nah. And then I could have sold after it was over when I was like, all right, everyone's going to start selling. I could see it going down. I was like, man, I could totally grow my bag by 10 or 20% right now. Yeah. And I was like, nah, you know, like I'm just more long-term, think about it. Anyway, several of the dApps that they're talking about, I found that they were interesting, even though most people would be like, why do you need a blockchain for this and that? And I agree with that. But did you see the thing that they have? I forgot the name of it. It was not the last one, not the game, but the one before that, where they put a device inside stores that communicates with your device so that it gathers data and it uses AI in order to try to predict things so that whenever you get somewhere, it's more of a streamlined, more personalized process. So you'll spend less time explaining things everywhere you go so that we can get there when you, like, even whenever you're next in line, they don't have to be like, hi, sir, what's your, I need your name. I need your date of birth. It's your mother's maiden name. What's your phone number? I'm sorry, we're having difficulty. Like, it'll be more streamlined where maybe you can just you can sign and verify a message or something to prove the attributes that you have without actually giving out your identifying information. Because that's what people are worried about. They're like, why would I want to put where I go on the blockchain and I like my privacy, which I do. I'm probably one of the more private people, but if I can be 100% or 99% confident that my name and my personal info is secure, but the information is there. So the tokens that they have that they were coming out with, although it doesn't sound like a lot, do some research and look at the market that they're targeting, and you realize that they're harvesting data and allowing you to monetize that.
What was that one called? Do you remember?
Oh man, I was gonna write it down, but I was so into listening and stuff. I was just listening. I don't remember.
I didn't see where was that icon? Have they got that on YouTube or something? Because I didn't see it pop up anywhere.
Live, but when you stream live, sometimes they don't automatically upload it. Maybe it did, or maybe they have to upload it. I would check for you, but the stream, it'll probably start getting garbled if I try to do anything else on this computer.
Yeah, but don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, the video is great though. That straightened out. It's cool. It's crystal clear. But
yeah, mine's
those types of things that are going to allow you to the more we do it, the more we'll be able to get from it. Like right now, we're just figuring stuff out. Right now, they're just like, the first step is just to get a bunch of data and figure out what to do with it later. And there's companies that they specialize in those types of things. And that company, I forget the name of it, that's what they've been doing. It's a company with it was 50 billion, something. I don't know. They had money, a lot of money, revenue in the company doing data analysis and stuff like that, marketing. So when you think about what's the number one, if you were to name one, like if you were to just ask the average person, quick, name a big company, $1 billion company. And what are they going to name? They're going to say Google. They're going to say Facebook. Right? Yep. What do these companies do? What does Facebook do? What do they sell you?
It's data, it's marketing. They don't
really sell you anything. That's just a side project. Anything that they're trying to sell you as Facebook, that's just a side project. Their money, the reason that company is worth so much money is that they can predict markets. And the hive mind can change like that. And that's what Facebook does. They sell your data to other companies that turned it into one of the biggest giants, biggest companies that could possibly buy Google someday. You never know. You never know how it's going to fall. So when I see that token, I'm biased. I like ICX because I'm invested in it. And so I have to think optimistically. You know, I'm not a negative person when it comes to ICX. So I'm already a little biased. I want those projects to succeed. But that being said, you have to admit that something like that has a very large potential to take a big bite out of what Facebook does and do it as good as or better than they're doing it, because not only are they going to do what they're doing if they say they can do it, which I think is possible. It's just a matter of whether or not they do it. It's possible that they become a competitor to Facebook in the data arena. It could happen. They could come out of this. It was an ICO with a couple $1 million invested. It could turn into a $100 billion company like Facebook. So yeah, I think it was a positive thing for Icon. Most people were probably like, you know, I got a couple of fancy videos and some guys talk for a little while. I think a lot of people, after you get into the space and you get that thing that comes when you first get into Bitcoin and you get into crypto and you're excited about it. And a lot of people probably watched that summit and were like, I didn't really get excited about any of that. But you have to understand that some things that are big aren't sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the guys go up and they start talking about, you know, marketing and stuff. But you can put up on the moon and be like, we're going to the moon. And then everybody's, yeah, that was awesome. You know, so I have to put those feelings aside, even though I want a Lambo too, which I think I want a Tesla now, man. I was watching that. It was nice, man. It was pretty nice. I liked it a lot. And when you look at the specs, I know you don't know. I could rattle off specs and it would just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. All I heard was the car's good, you know. But when you realize that the car that they're manufacturing is going to be, I'll tell you the price after. It's going to compete with supercars. It is on paper, if not for sure one of the, but maybe the fastest car ever put into mass production. And there's a lot of cars that people handmade, but something that has been produced in large numbers like Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti, those types of things. When you look at the specs, the Tesla Model 2 Roadster base model, this is just the base model. They're going to do more ridiculous things after that. It can go from 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. And I think the Bugatti Chiron and Veyron, those are multiple millions of dollars. There's a waiting list. Usually they're more expensive. Like people sell them MSRP, things like that. It can't even do that. It can't even get to 60 in under 2 seconds. It's never been done in a mass-produced car. It runs it in 8.8 or 8.9 seconds, which is not even legal to race. Like if you showed up, they would be like, man, you need a roll cage and a fire extinguisher, and you need to put like some kind of box around the batteries, which is a problem in a Tesla because it has a lot of batteries. I'm pretty sure it has that. So it's really, really fast, and it's a baggage of like, it's like Hummers. You know, people give Hummers a lot of crap because they're big and they don't get any mileage, and that's not what they're for. The Tesla's purpose is going to be to show up all these other companies that are selling their cars for, you know, millions and millions of dollars. A brand new Lamborghini, not the Gallardo, but the one after that, the Huracan, I think it's called. They're about 200,000 brand new. Okay, you're going to be able to literally blow the pants off of that car without even having an engine in it. You're going to be able to do that hugging your trees. You'll be able to hug your trees and drag race. And the best part is the price is actually lower. He's selling this car that can go 621 miles on a charge. They're guaranteeing you that you're going to pay no more than 7 cents per kilowatt hour, which is basically the best price anyone in the United States is even getting, unless you're like got some kind of deal worked out. Any residential person is going to pay at least that, generally speaking. So you're going to guarantee that you will never have to buy gas again. Guarantee that you can go 621 miles for 7 cents per kilowatt hour, right? And when you do the math, the semi truck that he came out with is going to be the same price. I think it was about 200,000, if not right. I think he's going with like it's 200, make it the same. It can go 500 miles on a charge, fully loaded with the maximum legally allowed weight of 80,000 pounds, gross vehicle weight. I think it was 80,000 pounds. So you'll be able to buy this truck, 200,000. You'll be able to, and it goes 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds with the trailer.
So you can drag race the truck.
You can drag race the truck and still beat a 1999 Corvette to 60 miles per hour. You know, that a 2002 Camaro Z28, a Holden Monero, right? That's about how fast that car is.
Yeah.
So then how many people are going to modify them? These are just how they come. I have an electric car. I modified it. I rewrote the computer on it, and it gets 400 and something pound-feet of torque. So I have an electric car that weighs like 2,800 pounds, and it has the torque of a V8 Corvette from, you know, the 2000s or so. That's not bad. I think a 05 Corvette was about 400 pound-feet of torque. So it was fairly competitive. So when you start realizing that, what market is he trying to disrupt? Because most people are like, oh, he's disrupting the car market. He's trying to bring electric cars, but this is just a way to get the money for the bigger picture of what he wants to do. What he's doing is he wants to do those like tunnels. I don't know if you've watched videos. He's talked about it.
Yeah.
He's gonna make tunnels.
Underground highways. Yeah.
Right. I forget what it's called. Something Hyperloop.
Hyperloop. Yeah. Sorry, he's got so many things on the go. I can never remember. But yeah, the Hyperloop. And then looks.
Hyperloop is the between states in large cities, and then you have a smaller scale so that you can get from one part of New York to another part of New York by going underneath everybody.
Yeah. Like the 3D highways where they get built underground by tunneling. So yeah, I saw that.
And another thing that he's going to do, which he hasn't went public with it yet, but I'm fairly certain that it's not lost on him, that you don't make the tunnels necessarily perfectly straight, right? If you made the tunnel such that it's like a U shape, right? Have you ever been to a water slide and slid down?
Yep.
I didn't have to bring an engine. I didn't bring a battery pack or anything. I just jumped off. So if you can build something like that that goes in a U shape underground, you can actually slingshot it down and use gravity to carry it back up to the other side, like a skateboarder does on a skateboard ramp.
Yeah.
Or a
half pipe.
Yeah, a half pipe. You know. And so I think that as time goes on, we're going to start linking up these different good ideas that are good for humanity, and the cryptocurrencies that we all are invested in. A lot of these are going to be a part of that, and they're going to be an essential way to link those things together, because it has to be, for people to be really comfortable giving out their personal information after realizing they're harvesting from you. Like, I think they're going to have to be fairly comfortable that it's safe, that their information is not going to get hacked and get out there. So is Elon Musk going to come up with his own crypto and use that? Or would it be better to do it in a decentralized way rather than something that's in-house and controlled? Because at the end of the day, why do that if you're just trusting Tesla or Elon Musk or any of those guys? You shouldn't. You don't have to. You can just verify it. Don't trust, verify. And that's very, very applicable in that situation. When it comes to personal data, it's funny because right now most people are just giving it away. I think almost everyone has Facebook and all that, and they make that sacrifice of like, well, I want to use the app, so I'll let them. But once we start doing it and start getting paid for it, then it's going to change. It's going to change the way all these different things link up with each other. So I think they're going to use. I think they're going to use the currencies that are already out there whenever they're trying to link these things together. Those companies like I wish I knew the name of it, but the ones that are tokenizing your data in such a way that you can anonymize it. I think they're going to be a big deal. So I'll probably put a small amount into a couple of those tokens. There was one or two of them I was like, why do we even need that? You know, like I don't need that on the blockchain. I would rather just you guys send a message between each other and I'll trust you. You know, like it's just easier that way because I don't care. Some things you don't care about, but the most important things, they're gonna use those types of tokens. I could totally see them using it, especially with like Neo, these new ones. I'm looking at it from a perspective of after seeing what Ethereum did, Give me some leads, man. Yeah. I bet those are awesome. I think that we're going to look back and we're going to realize that maybe it's not Neo and maybe it's not Icon, but there has to be more than just one smart contract platform that's big like Ethereum is. So I'm still I haven't sold any of my Icon. I'm gonna put a small amount in a couple of their DApps and see what happens, because I think that whether or not they get it right the first time, which they won't, I feel like those are the people that are going to have the insights on the front line of the things that they're changing and with actual experience doing it. So you can have a lot of money and come in later and you can't necessarily buy experience completely. You know, if you have a lot of money, you can have it. But if a company innovates and they're the first ones and they've been around, there's that trust thing as well. Even though with, you know, tokens, the point is you're not supposed to, but people still trust products, you know, even though they shouldn't, or it's not even relevant. Like trust isn't even an issue, like with crypto, but that's still a thing. So I think that those are going to be a big deal. I think they're going to be a big deal. We're going to look back 1, 2, 3 years from now, and they're going to have had time to fail and get made fun of, and you know, people dump it and then it's moons again, and you know, it's going to go through those cycles or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, right now we're at an opportune time where have you ever seen the adoption curve thing, where you can see what an adoption curve looks like as more people get onto the network? It's like exponential.
Oh, exponential growth.
Check it out.
Yeah, I've seen them. Is that what you're talking
about?
about?
Yeah. So you could like a telephone network.
Yep.
Things like that, telephone networks, the internet or whatever. And for a long time, everybody was like, we're not in the early adopter phase yet. We're not in the early adopter phase yet. I think we're there now.
Yeah.
You know, like we're already, I've seen, there was ads in Times Square for EOS, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people were sitting in traffic and there was like EOS, huge screen right in front of everybody. And I don't know if it was Photoshopped or not. Whether or not it's actually happened, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen soon.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I think these are all the huh? What's up?
There's no doubt it's gaining you know, wider acceptance and wider knowledge in the public space. I think we're actually starting to break up a bit, Chronicus, so we might call it quits there, because the stream's starting to lag a lot and getting a lot of breakup. I'm not sure if it's my house. Maybe the boys have come back home downstairs.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Okay. All right, well, we'll sign off then. To all the Crypto Wave investment crew who did stick through us through some technical difficulties today. Thanks for that.
You didn't even show them the tattoo, man.
Oh, we're going to have to – I'll show them the tattoo, Chronicus. Hang on, I'll present this. I'll present your screen. Give me a second. Present to everyone. Chuck it up again, man. Sorry, I didn't have your screen up. There we go. PIVX, Litecoin, Bitcoin.
PIVX, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So I'm letting it heal before we finish the rest of it. Like it's gonna be filled out with all kind of random stuff. So
there's a man who loves his crypto.
We were making an offhand comment, and I think I messaged you, and I was like, hey, what kind of budget would you think the marketing team for PIVX have if you were to bet me that I would get a PIVX tattoo? And you were like, I'll pay for the tattoo and I'll bet you 20 PIVX. And I didn't even think about it. I was just like, done.
Yeah, as soon as you accepted, I just went, oh, right, he accepted that really quickly. I'm going to be out of pocket 20 PIVX.
Yeah, well, I don't gamble, bro. So you should take that as I don't gamble. I don't consider it gambling, because for you, it may have been a gamble, but for me, it was a done deal before I even told you.
No, I'm not a big gambler either, Ben. I had a feeling you'd have it done. Anyway, Chronicus, thanks for thanks very much for joining us today, man. I will sign out because it is getting quite laggy. But thanks for joining us today, man. We'll have you back on the show when we can get a bit better of a connection going and have a chat again for sure. But for those of you who are interested, Crypto Chronicus also has his own channel where he live streams BTC charts with independent music. So if you're looking to chill out and just watch the BTC charts, you can do that over at Crypto Chronicus channel running 24/7. I'm subscribed to it, so you can access it there. Thanks again, Chronicus, for joining us, man. And to the Crypto Wave investment crew, we'll catch you tomorrow for another discussion and report. We'll see you then. Bye.
Sounds good, man.